You see, a lot of times whenever you're dealing with an unbeliever, an atheist, skeptic, whatever the case is, they'll immediately point back to the violence in the Old Testament. They'll look at the God of the Old Testament and they'll say, no, God was just very vengeful, wrathful, angry. And it was sort of like a little toddler throwing a temper tantrum, And the God of the New Testament, they argue, is very much love, peace, mercy, grace, all the, what they would say, good characteristics of God. And so as an apologist, it's one thing we have to wrestle with. What is the disparity? Well, in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's hard. So if you want more, I'll elaborate on it later. A couple things. First, when you're looking at the New Testament and the Old Testament, we have to realize the scope, the span of years. The New Testament, depending on how you actually date the authorships of the letters, that spans maybe roughly a 70-year period. When you're looking at the Old Testament, that's spanning like a 2,500, 3,000 year period roughly.
Wow.
And so you're looking at a period of time that's completely different, first off. Second off, when people are bringing up this charge, they're looking at all the violence and anger in the Old Testament. I would argue there's plenty of love, mercy, grace, and peace in the Old Testament as well that God reveals. You could look at the city of Nineveh. The entire city was spared. You could look at Rahab. You could look at Nebuchadnezzar, who I believe possibly is in heaven based upon Daniel chapter 4 and his, turning to God and the truthfulness of him. And so you have a lot of mercy, grace, and love in the Old Testament. What they also neglect to realize is in the New Testament, you have the same righteous anger of God. Read the book of Revelation.
Yeah.
Now, the people that bring this charge up, they probably will deny the deity of Christ, so I wouldn't talk about Jesus and him flipping over the tables. But if you take them to Revelation, they'll clearly point out that that's God in heaven. And then you can see very much God has that righteous anger there. So that holiness is there in the New Testament. The holiness is there in the Old Testament. The only other thing I would like to say about this is you got to look at the purpose between the Old and the New Testament. There are varying purposes of why the Old Testament, is here and why the New Testament is here. And really the Old Testament forecasting, foreshadowing the Messiah and point towards his birth. New Testament looking back. But also when you look at the other scopes is the Old Testament really talks about the history of the universe, the earth, the establishment of the nation of Israel, the coming of the covenantal people, of the Jewish people. That's really the main thrust as well. In the New Testament, it's all about teaching the gospel, the plan of Messiah, the work of Messiah, and evangelizing. So even when you look at the purpose of the Old and the New, there's a lot of difference there. And based upon the testamental purpose, I could see why God focuses so much on the Israel theocratic kingdom and the conquest of the lands, because even though Abrahamic covenant, the promise of the land, deals with Israel and the conquest, the Abrahamic covenant still has a vital role to play in the coming years with the return in the Messianic kingdom. And so there's a lot of different areas to attack this. A lot of times Christians are unaware on what to say. There's plenty of good, legitimate explanations